What's something that looked fun, but you realized it was horrible once you tried it? Riding a mechanical bull at my 33rd birthday party. Felt that for 3 days after. I rode one around the same age and didn't have a problem. I rode one again a few years ago when I was 42 and I'm just starting to feel better. I'm 45 now. Man, did my dad upsell mowing the lawn when I was a kid. He made it a thing my brothers and I aspired to do. We knew when we were old enough and responsible enough to mow the lawn we would officially be big kids. Turns out it's way more fun to sit on the sidelines with a popsicle. Exploring caves. It sounded amazing. Then I spent 8 hours knee deep in bad shit and crawling, or more accurately jamming my body through tiny passages face down, in the dark, with all types of vermin crawling on me in a 98 F hole in the ground. Then they were nice enough to tell me the most common cause of death is something called a dead hang. It's when you fall in a hole and get tangled in your climbing ropes and they can't find you or get you out. You just hang there all mangled up until you die. And that waterfall you can hear but can't see. I bet it's beautiful, but it's probably one of those places you could fall into pretty easily. Then when you're hours away from where you entered this hellhole and you've been in complete darkness for long enough, you get this feeling of dread they call the rapture. You'd give anything to get duck out of there and see the sun again, but it's not possible. It will a very long time before you get out. It was an experience I'm glad I had, but I'd never do it again. When I was a kid I kept seeing these kids with casts because they broke their arm or their wrist or their ankle, and I was so bummed because I'd never broken a bone. Then 3rd grade came and I broke my wrist in 3 places and my thumb in 2, and turns out it ducking sucks wrapping your arm up like a loaf of bread to take a shower. Diving. Joined the team in high school as it looked fun. It was not. Most painful sport I've ever participated in. I dove in high school. It was so much fun. Also a hell of a lot of pain, but it was totally worth it. So many bruises. However hard you think water can be, it's harder. When people would see my bruises and I'd tell them it was from diving, they'd think I meant I'd hit the board. Nope, always was from the water. Hit so hard with my face I busted my lip up, but when you nail a dive. So ducking awesome. After being fat 90% of my life I actually mustered the willpower to get in shape, and now I realize all my problems are because of me, not because I was fat. I remember when I was little and my older brother and sister had braces. I wanted them so badly. Turns out braces really suck, and I had them for almost 4 years. Bungee jumping. Free fall is always awesome, but the second and a half of free fall is not worth the cracking of the whip that's hard on your body if you do it wrong. Captive work outings. Example, we have organized an afternoon boat tour. It means you will be crammed into smaller space, blasted with shitty music, and expected to be friendly to people you are only around because you are paid to be for 4 to 5 hours. You will accomplish nothing of value, and your bosses think this is a reward. Apostrophe. This was a huge problem at my last job. My social life took a massive hit because I was spending 10-hour days in the office and constantly got sucked into social events. For example, the office provided free dinner every day, and it looked really weird to go home and eat dinner with your actual friends. I also used to play a lot of Smash Brothers with my coworkers, and they looked at me weird for wanting to stop after a while. Apparently, 2 hours wasn't enough, even if it was 9 or 10 PM. I prefer making friends with people outside of work. Things are more genuine because there's no office politics involved, and it gives you a break from work. Riding in a hot air balloon. I dreamed about it for years, got it as a birthday present, and threw up over the side the whole time. They had to stop the ride early. Fruit stripe gum. This is more of a childhood example, but damn if it doesn't fit this description. Bubble soccer. The first time I got laid out I was not amused. Then I accidentally punched myself in the nose after getting hit another time. This really tall, intense water slide. I won't go into detail, but it was not pleasant. You talking about those ones where the floor drops out from under you? Because I was about to type this and post it. I'm big roller coaster lover, and I'm always seeking new thrills, but these water slides are just straight up painful. The little ridges, where they connect the slide pieces together, bump up your back and hit the back of your head at warp speeds. I've got one. Marvin's magic drawing board. My sister urine scout and I saw the infomercials when we were young. It looked amazing. I think it was like 3 easy payments of $9.99. The thing was basically a rainbow background with a gap and then a clear film. So when you press the film, color shows through. But it never worked anything like the infomercial. We literally used it that day only. Sucked. Those foot vibrating machines at amusement parks, zoos, etc. that are supposed to make you feel better after walking around all day. Saw some kids sitting on the metal plate instead, laughing. Asked my dad for some quarters, tried to do the same thing. The force of the vibration caused me to shout immediately. Live action roleplay. It looks like fun adult dress up fighting, but it ended up being a bunch of sweaty guys in badly made tunics hitting me with padded sticks. Shaving my legs. When I was too young to shave, I wanted to so badly. Now I avoid it for as long as possible. Goes for facial hair too. I was so excited and adult when my grandpa gave me my first electric razor, around 16. Almost 20 years later, and I've shaved to bare skin maybe a dozen times. Now, freshly shaved legs in clean sheets feels so freaking awesome. I suggest everyone give it a go at least once. Edit. AI everybody. Yeah, I'm a dude. Mom was hilarious. I've shaved everything at least once. 4. Science, as stated below, the taint and my pits were a one-off and never again. As for the rest, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Orange Theory Fitness. Everyone raved about it and loved going. I now know what hell is like, and I paid $15 to be there. Being able to last forever in bed. It's only fun for a little bit, but girls don't really like it when you go for 5 to 2 hours and don't come. Anime conventions. I actually had a good time at the comic conventions I've gone to, but for some reason the anime ones have been smelly, overpriced, creepy, and downright disturbing in some aspects. I have never had my ass groped so many times in one day. I'm a guy BTW. Paragliding. My boyfriend and I were on this magnificent trip and decided to have no FOMO and go paragliding in the German Alps. My god, the views were spectacular. But my god, did I have to do everything in my power not to barf all over the views. I didn't realize that the motion sickness I get in twisty car rides would transfer during this activity. Only 100x more intense. The guide I was attached to swiftly handed me a buff bag, but thanked me profusely for not using it when we landed, because apparently it was full of holes. Getting my foot run over by a car. For some reason thought it wouldn't hurt and it would be fun, so when my friend's mum drove the car into my driveway I stuck my foot right under the tire, and as it went over my foot it crushed my foot and I screamed out and made her feel incredibly guilty for my blatant stupidity. Guy here. It took having anal sex with a woman to make me realize that I really wasn't into it. Kinda turned me on in certain pronoun movies, but in real life it just freaked me out. Drink nights at museums. Am I the only one who wants to dress up nice, sip classy drinks, and look at stolen relics and dead animals like some kind of hobbity toff? It was just a club night in the museum, complete with bad music, club horns, trashy people, and woo girls. Where's my high society? Going to a casino. I always thought it would be super cool, but all he bright lights and she just made me feel kinda sick. Deep tissue massages. I always go thinking how good it's going to feel, but duck, it hurts like hell. Feel great after though. All those amusement park rides that just slowly raise you up a tower, then suddenly drop you. There's a fine line between thrill ride and ass-clenching terror. Sex on a beach. Sounds fun and romantic, but even if you have a towel, you still end up with sand everywhere, which is not fun at all. In San Francisco, there is a hands-on science museum called the Exploratorium. In the 1970s, there was an exhibit called the Sensorium. I was there on a school field trip in which we were allowed to run free in the place and meet at a certain time. About 5 of us girls, ranging from age 11 to 13, decided to explore the sensorium. We were told, briefly, that you would be using all of your senses while enjoying your experience. This exhibit was inside the building, but the building itself was huge. This thing we were going to try was a bit daunting, as it was big like a carnival haunted house. But how scary could it be in this place of science? So we all entered at once, first noticing the drape behind us closed, leaving us in total darkness. From then on, you had to feel your way around. There were tunnels that you had to crawl up or slide down. Then, after being separated from my friends, they played a trick on me and ditched me. I finally reached the center of the darn thing. That was a round room covered with carpeting, with a dim red light, with about 10 tunnels opening into darkness. I was so thankful to see some light that I just stayed for a bit, hoping that I would see another person eventually. I did see someone, but they were not from my group. He just chose a tunnel and went headfirst down into the darkness. I knew that I couldn't stay there forever, but I don't think that I had ever been so scared in my life. So finally, I did just exactly what the guy I had seen before me do. It turned out to be a long curvy slide, total darkness. Remember, Elle ended up headfirst in a huge deep swimming pool filled with sunflower seeds. It was like quicksand, and there were people there to lift you out if you needed help. To this day, I will never forget the feelings of suffocation from the narrow tunnels, the scary feeling that I would not survive, and my appreciation of oxygen and life when I exited was at the point I'll never know. Snowboarding is not as easy as it looks, and you can break your ribs and ass bone in the process of learning. Graduating high school, the thought of being independent and free from all the baggage that was school doesn't seem so great when you realize you have to jump into the adult world blind and confused as to what the duck even is your life. I understand why some people think this, but I personally hated every second of high school and was more than happy to graduate. I didn't even bother with the graduation walk. I got my diploma. The actual certificate came before the ceremony. They only gave out the holders during the actual walk and ran for the proverbial hills. Sadly, I ran directly into a shitstorm of drama and college problems, but I still don't miss high school for even a second. Literally happened just yesterday. I'm on vacation with my in-laws and there are those bicycles that multiple people can ride. Everyone we saw riding them was smiling with rosy cheeks. After 20 minutes of riding one, we realized their smiles were an act of self-preservation to survive the torture that are those bicycles. Shower 6. I mean, sure, I'm naked, you're naked, let's be naked together. I'm down with that. But do we really need to do it in a little glass box where there's soap on the floor and not really enough room for both of us? Do we really need to pretend that we are not both just trying to stay under the hot water for long enough to stay warm, but that the pressure isn't enough for both of us to manage it at once? Can we at least acknowledge that water is a terrible lubricant, so any actual sex, even if it was possible without us both clumsily pawing at each other, is going to be unpleasant for us both? And even if it did work, we've still got to shower off after the fact, which means... what exactly? We've got to take shifts so we can both get clean properly. One of us just has to stand outside, freezing their ass off, while the other one spends 10 minutes washing their hair. I'm 30. I have a perfectly good bed. Let's do this right. Devil's threesomes. Sex with two men might seem like a great idea until you have two dudes with poorer than pounding your orifices at the same time. Unless these dudes have a fair bit of experiences double teaming a woman together, it's a beach to sink up enough to not be very distracted and comfortable. Fast food every time. Yeah, their photography is great, but what you get looks nothing like that. I feel like I've eaten sadness. Riding a motorcycle, it was fun until you hit the highway and realize you are 1 second, one crappy driver away from dying. Most people never ride again once they fall off the first time. For me, it was deciding to duck in a lake. It seemed like so much fun, but once we got down to it, it was awkward, long and not satisfying in any way. I don't know if we did it wrong, but we tried 2 different times and they both sucked.